Do we have free will, or is everything determined? What if every choice you've ever made, your job, your partner, even the moment you clicked on this video, was inevitable from the start? And if that's true, what happens to responsibility, creativity, and the very idea of you? Tonight on Opposing View, do we have free will, or is everything determined? Stay with us until the end. We'll stress test both positions with real-life dilemmas, a rapid-fire cross-examination, and a closing reflection you can use the next time you face a big decision. Introductions. Joining us are two returning thinkers with sharply opposed views. First, Dr. Shaw, arguing against the motion that humans have free will. Opposing him is Dr. Iliya, arguing for human free will, specifically a modern, scientifically informed, compatibilist version. Gentlemen, and I am sorry, madam. Thank you for being here. The motion is simple. Humans have free will. By format tradition, we begin with the case against. Opening statement against the motion. Determinism. Dr. Shaw.
Thank you. I'll be clear. The feeling of free will is powerful, but feelings are not arguments. When we examine how decisions arise in the brain, we find a chain of causes stretching backwards through genetics, childhood, culture, and neurophysiology. At every step, what you do follows from what you are, and what you are follows from what the world has already made you. Consider 3 lines of evidence: neuroprediction and timing. Classic experiments showed neural activity that anticipates actions before subjects report deciding to act. Later work used brain imaging and machine learning to predict which option a person will choose seconds before conscious awareness. The details and timelines are debated, but the pattern is consistent. Brain states evolve according to prior states. Subjective, I choose now, comes late to the party. Mechanistic mind. Your brain is a physical system. Physical systems obey causal laws. Whether the universe is strictly deterministic or merely probabilistic at quantum scales, neither path rescues free will. If every microstate determines your next move, there's no alternative possibility. If randomness sprinkles in, you get noise, not authorship. A roulette wheel in your head is not you in any morally meaningful sense. Predictive processing. Increasingly, we understand the brain as a prediction engine that minimizes error between expectations and incoming data. Perception, emotion, and action emerge from this cascade. What you experience as choosing is a narrative layer, useful, adaptive, and often admirable, but still a constructed story about subpersonal processes already in motion. Let's ground this. Suppose you decide to skip dessert. That decision correlates with blood glucose, sleep, stress, childhood rules around food, and current social pressure at the table. The moralistic voice says, I chose freely. The scientific voice says, given those variables, that outcome was overdetermined. Now, many people fear that if free will is an illusion, morality collapses. It doesn't. We can still have laws, incentives, praise, and blame, reframed as forward-looking tools to shape behavior, not backward-looking condemnations of metaphysically uncaused choosers. We stop asking, could he have done otherwise in the very same world? And start asking, which responses will reduce harm and improve future behavior? In short, you are not a ghost steering a machine. You are the machine explaining itself. And that explanation, however compelling, does not add new degrees of freedom to the physics.
Opening statement for the motion. Compatibilist free will. Dr. Iliya.
Thank you. I agree with Dr. Shaw on one point. Magical, contra-causal freedom, choices unmoored from reasons or causes, is incoherent. But that straw man isn't necessary for meaningful free will. The question is not, are we uncaused, but can our actions flow from who we are, for reasons we endorse, in ways that are sensitive to reasons? 3 pillars. Reasons, responsiveness. When you deliberate, you simulate outcomes, weigh values, and update plans. That process is sensitive to reasons. New evidence can shift your action. If a friend shows you that a charity is a scam, you revise your donation. This norm-guided flexibility is what distinguishes intentional agency from reflex. Self-authorship over time. We are not born free. We become increasingly self-governing through reflection, learning, and practice. You can identify a pattern, say, reacting defensively, and intentionally train a new response. Over months, you reshape habits, attention, even the salient landscape of your mind. This is freedom as skill, not miracle. The cultivated capacity to act from your considered commitments rather than from your most immediate impulses. Levels of description matter. At the micro level, neurons fire. At the personal level, a person decides. Those are not rival explanations, but complementary ones, saying the prefrontal cortex computed value and saying she chose honesty because she cares about trust are 2 ways of describing the same event. We hold people responsible at the level where reasons, commitments, and narratives operate. Responsibility is a social technology for shaping agents who can understand and respond to reasons. Practically, free will shows itself whenever you notice a default impulse, hold it in awareness, and choose in light of your longer-term aims. You put the phone down and return to your child's storybook. You redirect anger into a boundary rather than a shout. Determinists call this an illusion. I call it the very phenomenon we mean by free will. So yes, our choices are caused, but they are our causes. Values we endorse, identities we build, futures we intentionally rehearse. That is enough freedom to ground praise and blame, love and promise, art and responsibility.
Rebuttal. Dr. Shaw.
My colleague relocates the goalposts. She abandons the ancient idea of being able to do otherwise in the same exact world and offers reasons responsiveness instead. But reasons are just more causes. If new evidence sways you, it's because your brain, given its prior wiring and that new input, had to update in precisely that way. Calling the update yours doesn't add freedom, it just personalizes necessity. She praises self-authorship, yet the capacity to reflect, the patience to practice, the mentors who modeled better habits, these are all products of luck. We don't choose our temperament, intelligence, or socio-economic circumstances. If you train yourself well, congratulations, but the very ability to train is another contingent gift from a world you did not make. Finally, the levels of description move does not solve the core problem. Yes, stories at the person level are useful. Like weather maps are useful. But utility isn't metaphysical liberty. The clouds do not freely choose to rain just because meteorology has a higher level vocabulary.
Rebuttal. Dr. Iliya.
2 points in reply. First, the luck swallows everything view is self-defeating in practice. We still distinguish between the person who could listen to reasons and refuses, and the person who cannot, because of intoxication, psychosis, or a seizure. Law and everyday life hinge on this difference. If you erase it, you erase the very norms that help people improve. Compatibilist freedom is precisely the capacity to be guided by reasons. When that capacity is intact, Holding someone responsible is not metaphysical cruelty, but a way of engaging an agent as an agent. Second, inevitability does not equal impotence. A chess engine's move is determined. It's also intelligent because of how it integrates information toward goals. Human agency is like that, but richer. We can step back, model ourselves, and change the rules we play by. Training a new habit may be caused, but it is self-caused in the sense that your reflective system shapes your future dispositions. That diachronic authorship is the freedom we can realistically have, and it's the only kind we need.
Cross-examination. Quick answers, please. Q1. If neuroscience someday predicts choices with 100% accuracy, does free will survive?
It would be the end of the myth. Perfect prediction reveals perfect necessity.
Yes. Predictability doesn't negate agency. If I act from stable values, a perfect model could foresee my choice. It's still my value-guided act.
Q2. Does quantum randomness help free will?
No, randomness is not authorship.
On its own, no. Freedom isn't noise. It's reasons-guided control.
Question 3. What should change in criminal justice?
Shift from retribution to prevention, rehabilitation, and risk management. Treat causes, not condemn ghosts.
Keep that shift, but preserve responsibility where reason's responsiveness remains. Otherwise, we remove the very levers that help people reform.
Real-life stress tests. 2 scenarios. Scenario A. The 2 a.m. text. You're angry and about to send something cruel.
Whether you send it depends on prior fatigue, learned regulation skills, and environmental cues. Install better cues. Delay send features. Sleep. Boundaries.
Notice the urge. Breathe. Remember your longer-term aim, respect, and choose a draft you'll still endorse tomorrow. That reflective gap is your freedom.
Scenario B. Breaking a family pattern. You grew up with shouting. You don't want to pass it on.
Seek training, therapy, community, external structures that change the causes shaping you.
And own the project. Set implementation intentions. If I feel the surge, I step back, count to 10, name the feeling. Track wins. Over months, you'll become the kind of person who does otherwise.
Closing statements. Dr. Shaw.
Everything you do flows from what came before. That doesn't demean you. It situates you. Compassion and effective policy grow when we trade blame for understanding. Free will is a noble story, but causality writes the book.
Dr. Iliya.
Causality is not our enemy. It's the medium in which agency is possible. The freedom that matters is not magical, but practical. The cultivated capacity to act from reasons you recognize as your own, to reshape habits over time, and to answer for your choices because they express who you are becoming.
Final reflection and call to action. If freedom means being uncaused, none of us has it. If freedom means becoming the kind of person whose actions reflect considered values, perhaps it's the only freedom worth wanting. Which side persuaded you? Tell us why, and tell us what you'll do differently this week because of it. If you found value here, subscribe, share this episode with one thoughtful friend, and stay attentive for our next episode. Until next time.